You are all weirdos.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Silver Age Comics podcast, where I'm going to be going through a really, really cool issue, Action Comics number 252, and in particular, the story, The Supergirl from Krypton. This is Supergirl's first appearance, written by Otto Binder with pencils by Al Plastino, one of my favorite creative teams right there, and it was first published on March 31st, 1959, so we're coming up to the anniversary of this issue, and yeah, on the cover, you end up seeing a crashed purple rocket with Supergirl coming out of the door with Superman coming down and saying, "Great guns, a girl flying, it must be an illusion." Oh my, you are a hateful Superman, and you end up having Supergirl say, "Look again, Superman, it's me, Supergirl, and I have all your powers, so take that, jerk." And yeah, you go into this story, and there are some classic Silver Age things going on in this story. The explanations you get in this of how Argo City survived are just complete and utter nonsense. And what's great about this is that we weren't around to review this stuff back in the day, because I can only imagine these are the things that I ended up sending Eric a couple panels from this issue to say, hey, get this. Look at what happened. Look what Argo City. And Eric will always say stuff, especially Silver Age stuff, but even the Golden Age, that he is shocked that people allowed comics to continue because of how crazy they were. And then ends up always saying it in a joke, but still goes, I guess people were just dumb back then. And it is kind of a funny deal when you get into this. But I'm glad we weren't back then, because when you go back and read the Silver Age stuff, it's so much fun. And it's so just wacky and crazy fun that I don't mind. Again, sometimes a Grant Morrison, who's obviously a huge fan of the Silver Age stuff, he might take it a little too far, but I do love it. You end up with a big, giant explanation on the first page, as you see pretty much the exact scene from the cover, where you have Superman. Great guns! I seem to see a youngster flying dressed in a super costume. It must be an illusion. At least he got rid of the sexist deal that he had on the cover, and then you end up again, Kara saying, "Look again, Superman. It's me, Supergirl, and I'm real." And also I said, Kara, it's not Kara at this point, so we'll have to get to that in a minute. But this big explanation that's done really cool on like a scroll on the corner of the page. It says, as we all know, Superman arrived on Earth in the space rocket long ago when he was a super baby. The Man of Steel has always thought he was the sole survivor of the tragic catastrophe that destroyed his home world, Krypton. But fate has many strange twists, or tweaks, and the happiest event in Superman's lonely life occurs one day, which will astound and delight all fans of Superman 2. For this is not an ordinary tale of Superman, but the launching of a new member of our super family. So without further ado, we take pride in introducing the Supergirl from Krypton. So I love the idea, too, is that lonely life of the Superman there. Oh, my God, what a sad stuff. But we go then from that bit to a little bit before this, and you end up having Clark Kent. He's there at the Daily Planet. He's doing some filing or something. He says in a minute that nobody else is there. So maybe he's working late, hardly working. I don't know. But he ends up being able to hear with his super hearing a roaring sound far out of town. He says, I'll check it out with my telescopic vision. He looks, and there is a rocket that is coming down, and it's going to crash land. And he says, great guns. Again, this guy with his great guns. Great guns. A guided missile is about to crash. Now, with that, I'm like, well, what does he think? We're getting nuked by the Russians? But he says, there's a human passenger in it. This is a job for Superman. Now, he can see the human passenger, but doesn't quite get that it's a girl who's wearing a super costume, I guess. But he ends up saying, and this is where, when Bendis ends up getting rid of this secret identity, a lot of times, yes, it did make sense for some things. The idea that you always have to have Clark go run off to change. Or when he ends up showing up after the fact and, did I miss Superman? I mean, that stuff had gotten really old, but still, you don't take away the identity nonsense. But you end up where, in this point, Clark's thinking to himself, better change into my costume that I already have underneath my, suit and tie here, but luckily nobody's left here at the planet and I can go and stop that rocket. The problem is he took too long. He should have been thinking that stuff. He should have been acting, not thinking. And when he gets to the crash site, it's a crash site because the rocket has crashed. And he says, oh, my God, I got here really quick and I didn't get there. Again, he's going to mention, and you're going to get the mention of my favorite, Super Baby, where he says, this reminds me of the rocket that brought me to Earth this same way when I was Super Baby years ago. So he goes and he rips the door off and says, oh, my God, this is going to suck. And the idea that he's so, quick to tear this door, because he says to himself, I'm going to rip this off and the person in here is going to be mangled and dead. There's no way that a person can survive this. The only reason that me, as Super Baby, survived is I was Kryptonian and I had superpowers and invulnerability. And at this point, it's more based on the gravity of Earth. It's the idea that Krypton had the crazy strong gravity. When he gets to Earth, the gravitational pull, it's less, so it appears. And this is where, at the point, he's really jumping, not flying, all that stuff going on. I don't know how the idea of less gravity ends up giving you all those other powers, Superman, but we'll go with it. He ends up ripping the door open. Like I said, I think he's expecting to see a grisly sight. Maybe he's into that sort of thing. But he ends up having a shock of his life. And I love the omnipotent narrator that actually throws shade at the character, because even then, it's not quite shade, but it kind of is. It's like, you're due for a super shock, Superman. And then he's like, oh my God, what's going on? And you end up having Supergirl say, don't worry, Superman, I'm alive without a scratch. Now, there's a lot of things going on here. And the big thing when you first read this is, how the hell does she know he's Superman? She just gets out and says, hey, I'm okay, Superman. And you end up having Superman say, great Scott, not great guns this time, great Scott, a young girl unharmed. But that means you're invulnerable like me. And you end up having Supergirl say, why wouldn't I be Superman? I'm also from Krypton. And he ends up in the thinker pose. That's impossible. And that's the fun thing about this. I just ended up doing the New 52 review podcast. Minutes before I ended up doing this. And in that, it was reversed, where you end up having Supergirl doesn't believe what you end up having being said to her by Superman. This is a reverse deal, but it doesn't take long. The smile that Supergirl ends up flashing here would melt any heart. So he ends up saying, that's impossible. I was the only survivor when Krypton exploded long ago. Besides, you weren't even born at the time. He's going with, the idea that he can tell that she's younger. It's a weird line, but yeah, he can tell you're a little young to be talking this nonsense. And then says, to add to the mystery, why are you wearing a super costume like mine? How did you know my name? How can you speak the Earth language so well? And so on. And at least you have here where Otto Binder, he reveals that he has not painted himself into a corner. If he has, he's doing this on the fly. He's going to try to get out of this. But yeah, why would a Supergirl jump out of a rocket, dress like Superman, but in the skirt deal is what she has at this point, but knows his name, speaks English, says she's from Krypton, all these things, and you end up having the smile that Supergirl shoots. So cute. And she says, baffled Superman? Let me tell you a story. As my parents told it to me, when Krypton blew up, you are not the only one to escape alive. So you end up where she goes through the story, and this is so convoluted that it makes me smile. The idea when Krypton blows up, a big chunk of rock goes flying into space where Argo City was on. She even says, it had, our whole block was on this thing. And with that, the only reason that they survive right away is that somehow, and this is how Zor-El, her father, says, fortunately, a large bubble of air came along with this chunk of rock. So, okay, you end up, a planet explodes, a rock gets thrown into space that just happens to have a city on it, and luckily, a bubble of air came along with it. All right, well, that's well and good, but how are they going to survive more? Well, again, luckily, Jor-El says, also, we have a working food machine. We could live forever. And everybody cheers. Yay, live forever. I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense. But it says their joy was short-lived. Because at night, I don't know why it happened at night, But at night, all of a sudden, there's a green glow. And the explanation here is the chunk of rock that they have that got blown apart and got separated from Krypton now has turned into kryptonite. And it's now killing everybody on it. Luckily, though, Jor-El, he has a lot of lead sheeting in his lab. And he ends up, hey, everybody, to the lab. And they go and get this lead sheeting, and they just roll it down on the ground. Case closed. They are not having trouble now. All of the kryptonite radiation is now can't get through the lead. Now, again, they might have problems with the lead later. Who knows? I hope they're not licking the ground. I don't know why they would, but who knows? So then you end up, as she keeps explaining, things were great. And when things are great, people like to knock boots. And my parents ended up getting married and had me. And you do have the deal. It's like, and I said the idea of Kara, that is her name because she says it's time for Kara's bottle. She'll end up coming up with a secret identity name is more what I was talking about. But the idea where they're there, and I like that Alara is there feeding Kara while Jor-El has to keep talking about how great he is for having that lead sheeting. It's like, well, thank God I had that lead sheeting because I'm a genius. And also I had lead sheeting and Kara's going to live till the ages. She can live forever. Oh, my God, this is going to be great. Oh, no, there's a meteorite storm that somehow busts through. I mean, it busts through the air bubble that seems to just be permanent and ends up coming and popping holes in the lead sheeting. And this is where Alara should have said, well, it was fine they had the lead sheeting at first, but you don't have any more. So what are you going to do now, jerk? Because now the radiation is seeping out and they're all going to die. They figure that they have about a month. And I'll tell you, Kara and Jor-El and Alara, they are very, very smart people. I mean, that is something that I don't even have to tell you, but they're smart enough to pretty much through a telescope be able to learn the English language. They end up looking through the giant super space telescope to try to figure out where they can send Kara. At this point, Jor-El is making the ship, and they're only going to be able to send her. And where are we going to send her? Let's find some place that's pretty darn cool. So they end up going, and I don't know how long. You only have a month, and they're looking through this telescope and just happen to find Earth. So with that Earth, they find, and they see right away, Superman. That's what they see. And you end up having Kara, Mommy, who's that flying man? And Alara says, I don't know, but luckily we can hear their broadcast with our space radio. And we'll learn their language and figure out what is happening. They learn the language in a panel. Like right away they know. And there is a broadcast. Again, I always say this, but I always will. It's the Gilligan's Island trope, where you just happen to listen to something and it's only going to tell you exactly what you need to know for the plot that you're in. This would be great in real life, but they end up hearing this, that there is a news broadcast about the world's most famous hero, Superman, and the city of Metropolis pays tribute today to Superman, who originally came from the planet Krypton. Oh my goodness. Now they know. He gained his superpowers in Earth's lesser gravity. And in that he is lifting, he's like deadlifting a 10,000 pound weight that looks like it's just made of 2 blocks of granite. And then you end up where Alara says, oh my God, this is great. Kara, you'll have the same powers. This is you and Superman. This is going to be awesome. So with that, you end up where Alara says, and by the way, I think I'm going to make you an outfit. And since I'm making it here, when you get to Earth, it'll be indestructible. You know, because that outfit will now be in lesser gravity? I don't know, but she says it. She makes a nice little skirt deal. All right, blast off. As Jor-El says, oh my God, we're about to die. This radiation is the worst. You know, Zor-El, and he's like, oh my God, we got to go. And they aim the rocket to Earth, say goodbye, blast off. Kara's crying, oh my God, my mother and father, all the people are dying. I'm an orphan in space now. Oh, goodness me. So we go back to the present where, again, Kara was telling this story to Superman. And Superman in this, you can read this issue and just kind of, go to a little bit of a slant here. Go and, kind of look at it in a different way. And Superman is a jerk. Superman is kind of evil. He even says, yeah, I know it's heartbreaking, Kara. He's like, I get it. I know how it is. Now, with that, and even Tom King would talk about this when he did the Supergirl of Tomorrow, Superwoman of Tomorrow book that he just ended, where Cal doesn't remember anything. He doesn't remember the Krypton blowing up. He would never even remember except for meeting them and the crystals and things like that, even his parents. Where Kara, she's leaving, and already a disaster. I mean, they're flying through space on a slab of rock with a bubble and a food machine. So she already had some hardships there, and then ended up again having to leave there and know that her parents are going to die. So it's not quite the same there, Superman, but you end up having Superman. I was orphaned from my parents the same way as a baby. I was also shot away in a space rocket by my father, Jor-El. And she goes, Jor-El? Oh my God, that's my father's name, the L, and my father's name's Zor-El. It's your father's brother. And then you end up with, great Scott, then you're my cousin. Luckily, Black Canary being written by Bendis isn't here. Oh my God, that makes you my dad. It'd be some crazy deal that he had, but they end up hugging. And they're up, oh my God, this is great. And this is, Superman says, this is the greatest thing ever. You know what? We aren't orphans. We're orphans together. But at least we have each other, and I will definitely take care of you like a big brother, cousin Kara. Now, there's a thing that Tom King kind of left behind. The idea that Kara didn't have anybody and thought that Superman, no, he's there. Now, again, you kind of squint a little, and it's going to get weird because you end up having Kara right there goes, oh, this is awesome. I mean, you're going to be a big brother. Like, where do we go? I'm coming home with you. I'm going to live with you. And he goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. That can't be. And it says, this is exactly the quote. No, that wouldn't work. You see, I've adopted a secret identity on Earth, which might be jeopardized, but I have a great idea for your future life. First, let's see if you can fly. Up, and away they do. They go to fly. And with that, then Kara says, this is awesome. And she did end up with her mom for maybe 10 minutes, a hot 10 minutes. Watch Superman being honored, knows that he is this hero of Earth. And she says, all right, so do we start tomorrow? You know, start what? What are you talking about? You know, I'm your sidekick, the superhero and stuff. I'm a superhero now. When are we going to start this? Again, whoa, let's come down. No. You'll need a lot of practice before that happens. You know, you're going to have to do this. In the meanwhile, here's your new home. And they land. And again, you can look at this as Superman's like, oh man, it's great that you're here, but yeah, I don't want to be bothered with you. Oh, what? You have No. That would kind of steal my thunder. I don't need you doing anything now. We have a good thing. And the idea of that this is supposed to be the greatest thing ever for Kara. Yeah, we're here at the Midvale Orphanage. I am taking you to an orphanage. That's where you're going to stay. But in the meantime, we need a disguise, which is an odd play because I don't know why you needed that much of a disguise. Yes, a different name or whatnot, but they end up deciding that they're going to have a whole deal. And it looks like the wig that they go and get, Superman comes back with the wig from the set of Heidi, ends up, it's like Pippi Longstocking. You're like, I got you these clothes and this wig, and you're just going to go in there. You're unassuming now. Nobody would ever think, oh my God, there's Supergirl. And why would they? Because Supergirl isn't a thing, Superman. You seem to just be doing this stuff. Who knows why? And so you end up having Kara say, well, since I have a secret identity, I wanted to come up with a secret name. You know, my name will be Linda Lee. All of a sudden, Superman's like drifting away. He's looking in the clouds and he goes, what the heck? LL. Lana Lang was my girlfriend when I was Superboy, and Lois Lane replaced her when I became Superman. I thought this was going to go to the idea where Superman's like, what is she trying to do? We don't do that stuff on Earth. I don't remember a crystal saying kissing cousins. This is ridiculous. But he ends up saying, I guess it was fate that she picked an LL. Oh, these women in my life. And they go in to register Linda Lee to the head of the orphanage. And it's funny, too, because they want to use the name Linda Lee, but they're afraid that people will already have forgotten in one panel that that's actually Supergirl. So the narration says, as Superman brings Linda, and in parentheses, Supergirl Lee, into the orphanage, and you end up having Cal who needs to come up with a story. Again, I think he's going too far with things. I don't know. He's Superman. He could pretty much go in there, I think, and say, hey, listen, I want this girl to be taken care of. I'm Superman, you heard of me, right? Midvale, they know me. Hey, I'll see you later. But ends up lying and says, well, doesn't. But he says, he is but isn't. He says, yeah, this poor girl, sir, lost her parents in a big disaster that wiped out her whole community. And then ends up thinking, I got him on this one. She really did. I mean, Krypton and then Argus, they ended up left. So I'm not lying, right? This guy's probably like, what do I care? Just sign the paper. Get the hell out of here. And he introduced Kara, Linda Lee, to the headmistress, actually. And it is Miss Hart. The headmistress says, oh, you look, and the way that Al Pacino draws her, you always think that it's Hard Knock Lifetime. You're going to end up, oh, here we go. We're going to have an Annie deal. They're going to be singing and dancing. But you end up having this Miss Hart look really nice, like really, really nice. So you're hoping, okay, this might be the one orphanage in, fiction of that actually is on the up and up. But you end up, and I'm telling you, probably isn't, but you end up where they're going. Kara wants to say goodbye to her cousin, says, I guess it's time to say goodbye, cousin. I mean, Superman. And you end up where, just out of there, it's like, then they got to talk by themselves for a moment. And Superman says, listen there, Supergirl. The world's not ready for you. I think it is. I think Superman's just being a jerk, but he says, you cannot have anything go on that people will learn your powers. Just relax. We'll train your powers and then, on the side. But don't go doing your Supergirl things while I'm gone. Don't start mucking things up here by doing Supergirl. Do you understand? No super. Oh, I get it. She says, I understand, cousin Superman. Probably like Ixnay on it, cousin. I'll keep my presence on Earth a complete secret from everyone for the time being. So Miss Hart leads Kara, who she thinks is Linda Lee, into a room. And it's like, sorry, Linda, but the orphanage is overcrowded and this is the only room we have. I'll help you tidy up. I mean, this is a bigger room than I have right now. It looks nice. I mean, yeah, you got some shitty stuff there. You got a broken mirror and a bed where you end up, I don't know how or why, but the one leg is bent. Who knows? But you end up having Kara say, no, that's fine. I'll just clean up myself. You got other things to do. And then immediately starts using her superpowers to fix the room up. Again, it's one thing to bend a bed leg. She bends the bed leg. Okay, that's good. But then she goes over to the mirror that's cracked. They would know this. And she uses her X-ray vision to heat it up and fuse the cracked mirror, makes it as good as new. She also uses her super breath to get rid of all the dust and things like that. It doesn't work that way, but it's fine. And so she's all happy. So what else does she do now that she's pretty much fixed a mirror that's going to cause fun? She starts spying on everybody in the orphanage. She starts using her X-ray vision to look through the wall, and she ends up seeing a kid drawing and a girl playing with a doll. And she's like, oh my God, look at them. There's so many cool orphans here. I hope I can make friends. This will be my home far away on planet Earth. I love it. So you're like, okay, I get it. Yeah, she's spying and doing weird stuff, but she's sitting around. It doesn't show that she's making friends or doing anything, but it gets dark. Lights out, people. It's time to go to bed. And that's where you end up having Kara. All right. Now that the lights are out and it's dark out, I'm going to take off this wig. I'm no longer Linda Lee. I'm now Kara. Supergirl. She's there in her costume and just flies out the window and starts cruising around Midvale and says, I'm not really going against my promise to Superman because it's dark. It's dark, Nobody's ever going to see me flying around. But then she lands at the movie theater and reads a poster that is now showing old-time films history of Superboy on Smallville. And again, she's just there. And so she's like, oh my God, what a movie. Maybe I'll check this one out. It's about Superman. I'm so proud of the fame and honor that my cousin earned in his lifetime. And then she kind of looks at the audience here and says, I wonder if someday will I be as good as Supergirl? oh my God, what kind of future will this be? And then flies back to the orphanage and just flies right through the open window. Probably. And any time. And I mean, this plays off so much like a classic sitcom that every classic sitcom has the nosy neighbor who always sees this shit going on. But when she goes to explain it, and I say she, but it mostly is, you end up where she goes to explain it to somebody and it sounds like she's gone insane and they take her to the loony bin. There you go. She flies in, not even trying to pretend that she's undercover or anything, and goes in, and then it says, if you want to find out, readers, you can. And this is about what future will bring. Supergirl's adventures will continue regularly hereafter in Action Comics, along with the doings of her famous cousin Superman. See the next issue for another thrilling story about this girl of steel, a brand new member of our super family, along with Superboy and Superman. So it says the end. And yeah, at this point, Superboy's huge, and obviously Superman is as well. And yeah, it's a cool deal. And it would have been so exciting to get just a new super character like this. And with that, you probably just end up, whatever is said, I'll go with it. Here's Kara. Oh my, Linda Lee, I'm in. This is cool. Let's see her do stuff. And hopefully, and I haven't read the next issue of Action Comics 253. Hopefully it's like, let's get to it. Time has passed, so many bits of years, months, whatever. Kara's trained. Let's go and have some adventures. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what's going on. And this one is in the DC Infinite app if you are able to read the app and have the app, whatever country you may be in. It's only available kind of in the U.S., but hey, it's there. And it's there like out of nowhere because a lot of the Silver Age stuff of Action Comics is not in the app. And that kind of upsets me because I do like going through these. But there's other ways. So with that, thanks everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for all your support. Overall, pretty cool issue. You end up finding out all that crazy information thrown at you for Kara, Supergirl, Linda Lee, all of it. But with all that, thanks everybody. And I will talk to you next week.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science
It's the revolution.
Weird science
It's the revolution.
Weird science
It's the revolution.